Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. We just finished up Derby and the PGA Championship here in Louisville, which lent itself to finding some pretty good bottles out and about. I'm not going to cover anything that I found at Heaven Hill or what I picked up at Michter's. I covered that in the previous video if you're interested, but I will be going over some of the stuff that I found just shopping around at our local grocery store and the Total Wine and some of the other liquor stores here in town. First off, I picked up the A124 series from Heaven Hill. That's the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof and also the Larceny Barrel Proof. Larceny Barrel Proofs have really been impressing me. I enjoyed the 2023 iterations that came out, and I have not cracked the seal on this A124, but it is coming in at 124 proof. 7 years is about what I'm hearing. A weeder. It's been described to me as old Fitz, just not quite old enough to be considered Fitz, and I think maybe comes from a different rick house. So if that is something that matters to you, maybe give it a try. Much more widely available than any old Fitz. I mean, you're not even going to be paying near as much either, which is always a plus. The A124 from Elijah Craig, coming in at 10 years and 9 months. They're dropping the age statement. The A batches are always, in my opinion, a little underwhelming compared to the B's and C's that come out throughout the year. B last year, not great. C, I couldn't even find it on shelves around here. It was flying off. I have tasted this one. Interesting. A lot more spice notes than you typically find in the barrel proofs. This one is coming off to me really cinnamony. Definitely a different bourbon experience compared to some of the other ones I've had in the past. Not bad, not great. I don't even know if I can give it a score. Also found Jim Beam, aged 7 years. The word on the street is that Jim Beam is mothballing their ancient aged black label, and they're now coming out with this 7-year age stated Jim Beam product. I found this for about $23 sitting on the shelf at a liquor barn here in town, and it's actually signed by Fred and Freddie No, which is pretty cool. I picked up a couple, I gave some to some friends, I told some other people about it, but even now I can go out to a couple of the liquor stores and they must have did a big signing tour for this. You can still find them out and about as of, mid-May. Not super interested in ryes, but I have been dabbling. I had a friend who bought me the Rise of the Robots from Filmland Spirits. I believe the extended cut, which is a higher proof iteration of Rise of the Robots, actually won gold at the 2024 San Francisco Wine and Spirits Award. I enjoyed it. It's a sweeter rye than you typically find. I maybe even call it like a bourbon drinker's rye. It doesn't have as much of that earthy, grassy notes that I typically tend to find in the ryes. Some notes that I found more in this Bullet 95 limited released age 12-year rye. Also really enjoyed this. I don't really have too much to say about ryes. I'm not a big rye drinker, but I think they are interesting to have around to make cocktails with or just to provide some other tasting experience. But I really enjoyed both of those for what they are. And I think they're both coming in at some pretty decent prices. $50, $60, something like that. You can't really turn your nose up at a $60 with a 12-year age statement. That's pretty solid. Some recent pickups. I was actually out at a liquor barn just the other day, and this is my first ever Buffalo Trace Barrel Select. Unfortunately, it's a 375 milliliter. Came in at $21, which is a little bit more expensive than the 750 mil, but I thought for the experience of trying a barrel select, it would probably be worth it. I'll have to do a 1-to-1 at some point and try it next to some just a standard shelf stable Buffalo Trace bottle. And I hit it big just before Derby with 1792. 1792 is a Barton distillate. They've gone through a couple different naming conventions over time. Managed to find a single barrel 1792, which is coming in at 98.6 proof. I have never had 1792 aside from their small batch. I did enjoy the small batch. It was a solid sipper, comes in at a great price that you see with those big boy distilleries. Very, very manageable. I can't remember what the single barrel was, but I want to say $45, something like that. And then I also found a full proof. Full proof is coming in at 125 proof. I'm hoping that just adds a little bit more flavor. Hopefully not too much of that stringent kind of hot alcohol note you can sometimes get when you're approaching 130 if there is a distinct lack of flavor. But if that is the case, that it's starting to get a little bit hot, I'm hoping that this final find from 1792, this single barrel full proof store pick, there's a lot there to that. But I'm hoping that Liquor Barn knows what they're doing when they're picking their barrel select program. I'm anticipating that this bottle will be the best of the three. At some point down the road, I'll probably have to try them back to back. It's been a bit of a slow couple weeks for drinking around here. Unfortunately, I'm just doing really good on finding bottles. Not great for the bottom line. And the final find, this Old Forester 117 series, just walking through Total Wine, saw it there at the bottom of the shelf. Sometimes you can find these interesting bottles there at Total Wine. Maybe people don't know what they're looking for, or maybe they just got a couple cases in and I was fortunate enough to walk through. But Old Forester 117 series, the High Angel Share. This is batch number 3, released February of 2024, coming in at 110 proof. Their little blurb that they have on here: due to the heat-cycled warehousing and our unique maturation environment, occasionally the Angels choose particular barrels from which they can take more than their fair share. This whiskey is a small batch of these flavorful few, which developed unique concentrated profiles due to the higher than average evaporation loss. And Old Forester does do that heat cycling of the warehouse. They typically don't age state their products. I believe the thought process there is that an age statement chronologically is not reflective of the flavor that you're going to be getting from some of these bottles. They have released a 10-year, I think it is the Old Forester 1924 bottle. I did find that at a liquor store here just before Derby. Maybe it was on Oaks Day, but that went to a friend of mine. Well, let me know what you think. Would any of these bottles have been something that you would pick up, or any of these that you would pass on? Has anybody tried this Filmland Spirits Rye? What do you think about the A124 from Elijah Craig? Are we going to see some lower age statements moving forward, or are they just going to tease us with the A being a lower age statement and then come in with some absolute kickers there at the tail end like they did last year with the C batch? But thank you very much for tuning in. I will catch you all in the next one.